Hey guys! So, who's excited for brand new Vanilla Classic servers? Because I am. And I thought I would pop up a video for old time's sake and kind of share my thoughts and what I'm doing to plan to go into a fresh server. So, first, I'm going to look at class choice, how these classes interact in Classic WoW. If you're brand new to the game, here's a brief overview of like which class does what. So all of these classes can fill a DPS role, but only certain classes can fill that tank or healer role. And these roles are primarily going to come into play when you're doing 5-man dungeons as you level up. And when you're at max level, maybe raids. My go-to is usually playing a priest. It's definitely my most played class but I think this time I'm going to go Warlock. Warrior is definitely the most popular DPS if you're planning to be super sweaty and do the raiding and all that stuff. They've typically brought the best DPS, but we might see some changes in how classes perform in raids since they are getting rid of the buff cap, and also debuff cap on bosses. So after I decide what class to play, I want to think about my professions. You can pick up professions pretty early in the game. Usually it's in your second little quest hub that you can pick up most of these, or in the first major city. If you're just looking to make money, maybe this is your first tune, I would recommend picking up one of the gathering professions or two of them. You can go skinning, mining, or herbalism, and that will give you a lot of raw materials that you can then sell to other players. If you want to pick a profession based off the type of gear that you can use or the type of benefits that it'll give to your characters, I've highlighted those in green that are kind of like typical cookie cutter professions to go with certain classes. With the new server, enchanting is going to be pretty important for any of the wand users. You don't really get a wand early in the game, so you are going to have to rely on those very first enchanting wands. And if you're planning on trying to make a little bit of money off the get-go, grabbing enchanting and just cranking out some wands will give you some of that early gold. Tailoring is also going to be pretty good in the beginning because that's where you're going to get some of those early bags made. Any class can go herbalism and alchemy if you want to get things that buff your own character. You can also buy potions from the auction house, so I'm not saying that you have to go alchemy if you want to use potions. You just have to spend a little bit more money. Engineering is a really cool profession and it has a lot of benefits in it, but it's going to be super expensive in the early part of the game, and I would encourage you to hold off on going engineering if you plan to until later into the development of the economy on the first server so that you have more materials to work with at lower costs. These three professions all the way on the right, fishing, cooking, and first aid, are secondary professions and anyone can pick them up. If you are not trying to rush through your leveling, these are a good way to make some early money. Fishing and cooking pair really well together. You can catch the fish and then use the fish in cooking to level up your cooking skills. First aid, if you're playing a class that doesn't have any healing spells, so that would be warrior, hunter, rogue, and warlock, and mage. Those classes really want to get first aid so that you can reduce your downtime between pulling mobs. Mage, it's not as big of a problem since you are able to conjure food and water for yourself, so I would say that first aid's more important for the classes that aren't relying on keeping a mana bar up while they're playing. Okay, next I want to talk about like setting some goals in the game. There's a couple different schools of thought when you're jumping into a new fresh server. It's beneficial to decide how you want to play and what your goals are in the game. And here's a couple like high level points that you can think about when you're playing. If you plan on playing a lot that first night, you can try and get ahead of the pack. Don't pick up any professions because they're going to slow you down, and try and do as many quests as possible and get your level as high as possible. The higher your level is, the more money quests give you and the more money you can make as a player, and you can always go back and buy lower level stuff for your tune as you're making more money with your quests. If your goal is to make money in the game, definitely look at picking up some of the gathering professions. Skinning and mining is usually my go-to if I'm starting on a fresh new server and want to have a little bit of money to bankroll some upgrades and all that. And then if your goal is to be self-sufficient, definitely look at leatherworking, blacksmith, tailor, and enchanting. That will help you get some crafted gear upgrades that will help your toon in leveling. Alright, so I have some tips for hopping on the fresh server. First, it starts with before the servers go live. I like to do a bunch of chores and get my house clean before I start being a sweaty nerd and gaming for days on end. So getting laundry done, dishes done, maybe having like a meal cooked and ready to go. Like I'm probably going to throw something in my crock pot here in a minute, getting ready for the servers to come up at 5 my time. I want to challenge you to think about what you want to get out of the game before you jump in there. If you just want to go in and explore, that is great. Like, you don't have to know anything special to make money in this game. You just go and play it, and the money will come by doing the things in the game. All right, and that's all I have. Good luck, have fun. Remember to eat DoorDash if you need to. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.